The master classes are being built on different topics, at least currently, by 6 different professionals who have leveraged that topic space. So, for example, right now we're going through a social media platforms 101 where we're covering branding. That's something I'm really good at. So I teach branding. And then there's a week on Facebook, a week on LinkedIn, a week on Twitter, a week on TikTok, etc. The next one that's launching on August 10th, which is just around the corner, is on how to launch your own podcast, which is fabulous and is being led by 6 podcasting healthcare professionals who have leveraged that space. The one after that is the business of selling online, because a lot of us just have a lot of fears about selling. So it helps us to sort of push through that barrier. And then the last one for now, at least, is how to become an in-demand online coach. Now, there might be a lot more coming. We are still betaing these master classes, but the really cool thing about them is that it's a way to learn.
Hey there, my friend. Welcome to the Powerful and Passionate Healthcare Professionals Podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina. I am a cardiothoracic surgery PA with a background in public health and neuroscience. I'm also your peak performance coach. I had to say no to working extreme long hours where I was always on call and feeling exhausted, underappreciated, and undervalued, and said heck yes to a life and career that elevates my energy and passion without compromising my health and sanity. Now I'm on the mission to support ambitious healthcare professional like you with a demanding career to become a confident leader who are living purposefully and fulfilled to truly be both a powerhouse in your career and a passionate person in life. Let's start our journey today.
Hi, everyone. This is your host, Sabrina. Welcome to another episode of the Powerful and Passionate Healthcare Professionals Podcast. Today, we have the awesome Dr. Dana Corriel with us, and she is the founder who created SoMeDoc. And now I will let her explain more from that perspective. And she's intensivist and really wanted to connect physicians with physicians and help them to grow on the individual and business level. And also, can we better connect with our patients? Welcome to our show, Dr. Corriel.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on. Just a quick correction. First of all, it's Dana Corriel. Totally get it. Everyone calls me Dana. But secondly, I am not an intensivist. I am an internist.
Internist.
2 different things. Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm a board certified internist, which is different because, I'm a generalist. So I was seeing patients from a general perspective, adults that come in with any issue with any organ system. But of course, I'm also somebody that actually left clinical practice in the new year of 2020. So I think that that's relevant to those of you listening because you don't see that very often. You don't find a board certified internist who leaves clinical medicine. And again, we can cover that if it's relevant to your audience, or we can talk about some of the really cool things that I'm now doing with my startup called SoMeDocs.
Yeah, I so appreciate you bringing that up. So would you like to tell our audience a little bit about your background? Like, how did you really start in medicine to think about, now is the time, and especially 2020 in this pandemic, that is the time for you to actually leave medicine and create something new of your own?
So I created something new and of my own well before I left medicine. I actually started to dabble in things outside of medicine when I took a break from medicine with my 3rd son. And I discovered things that were incredible that I not only was good at, but that I loved. And so I didn't want to let that go when I went back to practicing medicine. And I found a really cool way to incorporate those things that I found into the practice of medicine and actually enrich the experience of practicing medicine. I was benefiting, my patients were benefiting, the practice was benefiting. And so for me, it was a no-brainer. And so I decided to then take the concepts that I had learned and not only sharpen them and get better, but actually do it on a bigger scale and bring in other doctors on this project like I had never done before and help other physicians to do the same. And so I created this space that I later named SoMeDocs, which is short for Doctors on Social Media. And it has evolved over the past few years into a really incredible movement and project and a space that I am continually growing in innovative ways in order to help physicians and healthcare professionals to empower themselves using online tools. So that's where we are today. We exist on a website at somidocs.com. We exist on most social media platforms. We now have really cool services. We have a membership that's evolving and that's coming with some amazing perks. We've master classes forming to help healthcare professionals really learn how to do some cool things outside of the medical practice. And we've got just incredible things shaping out of the networking opportunities that my spaces provide.
Yeah, that's so neat. I think we were taught in school just on clinical. How can we be the best that we can for our patients? How can we show up and continue to do research so that we can be able to innovate? But it was never truly on how can we grow? And from a business perspective, so our patients will continue to come back to us or even get to know us if you happen to run your own private practice or with a small group of physicians or clinicians. And your platform, when I look into it, it's awesome to feature these providers on social media platform. And so then they have a voice, as you're saying, giving them that voice outside. And right now, we are leveraging social media because internet is so wide and people are searching for what they need based on review, based on like just hearing the name itself, right? Wouldn't you believe the truth is no matter how good we are, if people don't know us, we can't help anyone.
Oh, absolutely. And I sometimes use the metaphor of, opening up a shop, right? It's like we've got our shop and our shop is incredible. There are things in our shop that you can't find anywhere. They're just super unique things. But if no one knows that your shop exists, if no one walks through that door to actually peruse through the really unique things that you have, then what's the point, right? I mean, your shop is just sitting there with no customers. And so it's sort of metaphorical because it's more than just us sitting there physically in our practices, right? We have intellectual property. What's cool about us is actually what's in here, more so than what's physically you're able to extract as a patient. And so that's the beauty of the online is that you can actually create so many really cool products and services from that intellectual property when you remove it and put it on the online, right? Into websites or online courses. We can actually teach in a way that's not physical. We can teach someone that lives across the world. And doctors certainly haven't leveraged that ability. And so that's where I come in with my SomiDocs. I would like to really innovate and to fuel the fire of healthcare professionals to start at least considering doing this, whether it's because you want to become a thought leader or because you actually want to grow your own business online, because that's absolutely possible these days. You can use the online for basically anything. Short, of course, of treating a patient, physically one-on-one, because you can never replace, at least so far, right? We still need to touch our patients for certain things and to auscultate and to palpate in order to diagnose certain things. But otherwise, to communicate, we don't really need other things for a lot of the interactions that are fruitful and useful.
Yeah, that's so well said. We really can connect with so many people with all the tools that are existing. So would you like to elaborate on what can people get from these master classes? Which platforms are you specifically helping people to grow on?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the master classes are being built on different topics, at least currently, by 6 different professionals who have leveraged that topic space. So for example, right now we're going through a social media platforms 101 where we're covering branding. That's something I'm really good at. So I teach branding. And then there's a week on Facebook, a week on LinkedIn, a week on Twitter, a week on TikTok, etc. The next one that's launching on August 10th, which is just around the corner, is on how to launch your own podcast, which is fabulous and is being led by 6 podcasting healthcare professionals who have leveraged that space. The one after that is the business of selling online, because a lot of us just have a lot of fears about selling. So it helps us to sort of push through that barrier. And then the last one for now, at least, is how to become an in-demand online coach. Now, there might be a lot more coming. We are still betaing these master classes, but the really cool thing about them is that it's a way to learn not only material in a passive way where you're sitting and watching people's lectures, right? But it's also interactive. So you're getting these instructors literally to answer your questions during the 6-week course that the class lasts. So it's not just that you're soaking in the material, but you're able to ask them questions throughout 24/7, because that's what the online allows us to do. And then additionally, you get a live office hour every week. And so you've sort of got a combination of textures for interacting, for communicating, and for learning. And I think that that's honestly just the best way to learn. And the other thing is we're not stifled by barriers. We're not stifled by people telling us what to do. There's no institution that's telling us what should be done and what shouldn't be. And so that's the magic of these classes.
That's awesome. I think what's key in what you presented and people should really notice is that when we learn, we're so used to passive learning in school. Watch the lecture, whether they're recorded in person, absorb by yourself, take that quiz, and then hopefully you pass it and right, you master the subject and you move on. But in real business and real life learning of any topic, is about whether they're led in person or online. You can ask questions, because the best way we all can learn is by actively participating, asking questions. And with the office hour, that's what really is making significance, is that when you have questions and if they're not getting answered, we feel discouraged and we're unsure about how to do. We start to procrastinate or give up. And when you have all these massive amount of resources, then you can actually start moving forward. Now, definitely SoMeDoc seems like having so many stuff, right? And then we couldn't really do everything. But I guess that's the point, is having a stretch out in 6 weeks, and you can figure out what is that one social media platform, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or whether you should be creating a podcast or a blog or a YouTube channel, whatever that is, pick one and then start moving forward.
Yeah, you're actually hitting on a point that some of our current students have asked, right? It's very overwhelming when you start to learn all of the available platforms out there. You sort of get overwhelmed. I call it actually the overwhelm. But my advice to them is simply that you have to just soak it all in. You have to learn. But then you have to just go with the one that feels good to you, that puts a smile on your face when you wake up. And then you dabble in that one and see if it really connects. And if it doesn't connect, then you move on to the next platform. But the point I wanted to make is that it's really, these classes are a judgment-free zone. It's a zone where you really can ask anything you want. And the second and last point is that these master classes are holding your hand, because I'm someone who believes that there's not a one-size-fits-all. So you can certainly soak it up in a passive way and just kind of take in lectures. But your journey is different than anyone else's journey, especially online, because we're not all the same. So it's not like there's just one answer to everything. It's the same as when we see patients and someone comes in, right, with abdominal pain. We're not just going to give them, there's not going to be just one answer for abdominal pain. We've got to know the person's specifics. We've got to know who they are, what their background is, what their family history is, et cetera, right? And the same goes for building an online presence. Your goal may be different than someone else's goal. Your history may be different than someone else's history, and that'll shape our online brand, right? Because it's about branding these days. And you're going to shine out in your brand differently than how I'm going to shine in my brand. You need almost like guidance and a coach like myself and like the others I have on board to help you figure out just how to pave the path to a successful online brand, depending on your endpoint goals.
Right. And so well said. It's the same, just like when people come to me, when they feel like whether they're stuck or they wanted to know that they spent all these years of getting their medical, nursing, PA, whatever degree they had, they don't want to just simply give up a jump ship. They want to fall back in love with their career. So how do you do that? It's not just reading personal development books. It's not just watching YouTube from all this motivational speaker. It's how can we implement into our own life and having a coach to remove your blind spot. And that's what these active listening with asking questions combination can make that big change. And I think all of us are here to really help all providers and clinicians and everyone to grow. And it's whether you can see which area you need to grow and then slowly adapting and then really taking these small steps to implement. And that's when we see these successful results. And I so appreciate you sharing this platform. And it definitely is something that we all have to think about. That's not when we are initially trained, is how can we bring ourselves. Selling in itself is a positive influence. And how can we connect with people? How can we stand out as an authority? That's what people want. It's not just we have the letter behind our name automatically make us trustworthy. It's how can we position ourselves as a person, as an authority where they automatically believe in us. And therefore, then they can really achieve what we advise them to do.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah.
Awesome, Dr. Corriel. I asked you, I'm sure people are so excited now about SoMeDoc, so they can go to the website to find out more, but how can they connect with you specifically if they have questions about the platform and to learn more about it?
I'm branded across social media as Dr. Corriel. That's DrCorriel. So you can find me on any social media platform. You can find my website at drcorriel.com. So again, that's me and my personal branding, drcorriel.com. And then there's somedocs.com, which is my company. And so those are two separate things. People are welcome to look at both. You know, I do lots of things. I consult where it comes to social media because I'm good at what I do. I've done it for many years. I've dabbled in basically every major social media platform and I love it and I'm good at it. So those are things that really help for me to guide others. And anybody is welcome to reach out to see exactly where they fit. That's what I help to do is I help to help physicians to let them know what their options are based on where they are in their sort of growth trajectory. So they're welcome to get in touch that way.
Perfect. I think that's a great point to conclude for this episode. Now, all these platforms has a different population, different interests. So we need to know our audiences, our clients so well, so we know which one to pick and to truly connect with them.
Yeah.
Any last words that you want to share with our audiences before we end today's session?
I guess I can just leave with a quote that the famous Albert Einstein said, and I really, really love the quote. And it is, creativity is intelligence having fun. And I love that quote because I am so that person who wants to see creativity out of intelligent healthcare professionals because I really think that we can innovate by stepping outside of our box and by really just massaging our creativity and starting to accept things that are not necessarily accepted. And so let's all be creative and allow our intelligence to have fun.
Perfect. Love it. Let us all just have fun, right? Like that's the key thing is for you to be excited about life every day is be innovative, bringing something novelty into your life. And even though it is the past that you already are an expert. So appreciate that you're spending time with our audiences. I'm sure when they connect with you, visiting with the website, they will get massive amount of value out of it and hope everyone has a good day.
Thank you so much for having me on. Have a great day.
All right, my friend, how did you love this episode? Make sure to subscribe to our show so you can continue to build your positive intelligence for that beautiful mind of yours to live powerfully and passionate. I know this just the tip of the iceberg. You probably have a lot more questions on actually how do I implement those things into my own life? Well, this is the solution. Joining us inside the private Facebook group, go to facebook.com/groups/powerful passionate, where I go live weekly to answer any questions that you have and continue to put more resources for you to help you to get to that point. You can be both powerful and passionate, where you're no longer working on any mundane work and truly focusing on the things that matter. You can be both powerful and passionate, where you can overcome any mental roadblocks keeping you from success. You can be both powerful and passionate, where you feel energized from the moment you woke up to the time you go to bed. Join me, and together we can create a life where you can be both powerful and passionate.